Welcome to Immaterial World,
a dedicated and transparent space to recenter how we explore glamour, magic, culture, and everything else we love together.
Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. As far as the galaxy goes, we're flying in the immaterial world. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. With mind and body and soul, we're flying in the immaterial world. The immaterial world.
Dia Luna is the sly alias of Mexican-American artist Andrea Diaz, in the name of her art pop project with her cousin, main producer, and engineer Tomas del Toro Diaz. Dia Luna collages a variety of sounds and influences to create music that is both artful and familiar. Her live set pushes the boundaries of performance, utilizing looping as a method of layering her luscious vocals and breathing life into her song arrangements. While Dia Luna is Andrea's primary vehicle of expression, her creativity travels effortlessly across many distinct avenues, including collaborative music projects as a songwriter, lead vocalist, and backing vocalist, as well as composing exceptional vocal arrangements, compelling lyrics, and surprising melodic elements as a producer. Her work also encompasses film and creative direction, while her spiritual practice has guided her toward working with others as a tarot reader and advisor, using her inherent sensitivities and her deep knowledge of visual symbols to help others clarify their desires and dreams.
Jez, we are here with one of our pod besties today.
Hey!
So excited. Hi, Dia. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm wondering if our listeners recognize your voice because they probably heard it just a few seconds before we started this episode. Dia, how do we know you? How would our podcast listeners know you?
Well, they might recognize my voice because I wrote and performed the theme song for Immaterial World. So yeah, that's my voice before each episode, and I really love that song. I heard a melody in my head right after we all had talked about me doing the song for the show, and I felt like it was really a gift from the ancestors and from the universe. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you did, because I need to tell the listeners that you know what you're doing, because originally Jess and I were like, yeah, it probably doesn't need lyrics. Like, just be some pretty vocalizations. Don't worry about lyrics. And then you gave us a song with lyrics, and I'm like, well, I was wrong. We did need lyrics, and we needed these lyrics.
Oh my God, I'm so happy that you feel that way. I think I just got so excited about it. I was like, oh, this is what it has to be.
Oh, we love it so much. And people always say that they enjoy it or it's in their head. And yeah, so it makes us really happy that you're a part of this, especially because you and I have been friends for so long. We go way back to New York.
Yes, way back to pre-pandemic days even.
Yeah, and I was going to be your backup dancer for a show, and then we just never stopped being friends.
Yeah, I'm so happy that that's true and that we've continued to be friends for so long. Big shout out to Lisa Marie Basile, who introduced us.
Yay.
Wait, I'm so upset about this lore because I am not included. And it sounds like this thought of Dia performing and Jez being a backup dancer and this all happening in New York and me being here blissfully unaware. It just feels like a timeline that needed to collapse because I'm jealous. So.
And now we're here.
So funny. But I will say I do have to go back to the lyrics of the song one more time because everyone that I know that listens to the podcast always says, oh my God, that song sounds exactly like you. And it is my favorite compliment in the world. So give Dia all the flowers. It's so whimsical and it feels like us and it feels exactly like Immaterial World. So thank you for not listening to us because we were so insistent on no lyrics. We're like, no, it's okay. And you were like, No.
Well, honestly, thank you so much for rolling with it. That was partially my Gemini ADHD, but then also I felt really inspired by the story that you had told me about Jez reading your cards for you, and her kind of describing this image of like a Barbie heart inside of an anatomical heart. And I really wanted the lyrics to kind of convey that and to give a sense of joy.
That reading will live in perpetuity. The lore of the of the anatomical heart, or the Barbie heart wrapped in the anatomical heart. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is definitely steeped in lore, and it's amazing that the listeners are part of that now.
Love, love,
Wonderful.
love. I know that you're friends and that Jez knows your story and that you've known each other for a while, but let's start in the beginning days of Dia. Like, tell us all about the early ages, the early stages, and how you got to where you are now.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, it's definitely been a journey, and quite a long process. I started singing when I was a kid. And I think initially it was my dad who realized that I could sing. I always used to sing along to one of my favorite Disney movies, The Little Mermaid. And so he actually had brought up the idea of me going to voice lessons, which I resisted because I was a pretty shy kid. And the thought of like being on stage or doing anything like that was pretty fucking terrifying to me. And honestly, sometimes it still is, but I did end up going, and I was a part of this voice studio where we would do like small shows every month. And I remember the first song I sang was Anastasia's Journey to the Past. And I think it's pretty interesting because a lot of the song is about like recovering a sense of identity, and then also like having courage to move forward in life. So I think that that's pretty cool that that was the first song that I ever sang in public. And I remember that there was this really big note at the end that was really long, and I just felt so much exhilaration and freedom in the fact that I could actually do that was something that was available to me. So I was hooked after that.
Oh my God.
Wow. Yeah.
So after that, I kept performing, and when I was 15, I started songwriting, and then I got into art school in New York. I started playing in bands there, and I just never really stopped. And then my project, Dia Luna, started probably around 2017. I had come back from a really transformative ayahuasca ceremony, and I felt like I had all of this music inside me. Particularly, there's a song called June that I, again, kind of like heard fully formed immediately after this ceremony had been completed, and that kind of started my journey with this grouping of songs that became my first EP that I created with my cousin called Camellia. That's my cousin, Tomas del Toro Diaz, who's my main engineer and a really super gifted producer and musician in his own right. We had a really organic collaboration together. He had also gone to art school, and so it just felt pretty natural to create music together. So here's a little clip of June.
Mother's flesh. Who are you? The crown of the month of June. Birth from the watery beds of your own mother's flesh. Oh, you left the salty.
So right now we're actually working on a full-length record that I'm really excited about, which is integrating a lot of our different sonic interests, like industrial music and funk and R&B, into like a brand new experience.
That I can't wait for your next project. Do you have a sense of when people might be able to listen to it, or is it a secret?
It's definitely not a secret. We're trying to get it done as soon as possible. We've been working really diligently on the songs, and I hope that we will be able to release it next fall of 2026.
We'll definitely check in about it when the time is coming. We'll let listeners know when and where they can find it. But, keep an eye out in 2027 or 2026. Sorry, everyone. I don't know what year it is. Overwhelmed.
I mean, does anyone know what year it is? I don't really think so.
So in the meantime, people can enjoy the work that you're doing for commercial projects. And we were just talking about our very prolific opening theme song. How do you create commercial work for people and things that are going to live outside of you that represent other people's brands or personas? What inspirations are you pulling from, or knowing them or meeting them? How do you create for others in that way?
I really love creating songs for other people. Typically, clients will send me some visual references or a few song references that I can look to for inspiration, and I find that super helpful. I really love working with specific constraints because I feel like it helps me edit what I'm doing very quickly. And it also gives me the opportunity to kind of be adaptable as a songwriter, and to try working in genres that I wouldn't necessarily work in or write in for my own creative project, Dia Luna. So that's really fun for me, and I get a lot of pleasure in doing that for people. For example, I wrote the intro song for Jasmina's other podcast called A Most Interesting Monster, and her co-host had given me a few references, and I ended up writing a song that sounded very akin to a B-52 style kind of retro Monster Mash song. And yeah, that was fun.
It's so good. It's so good. Actually, we should let people listen to it. I mean, you can go over to A Most Interesting Monster and subscribe, as you should, but we'll put in a little bit of it here.
Totally, listeners, this is a little clip from the theme song of A Most Interesting Monster.
From within a deep monster, mirroring what I couldn't see, a grin on their lips, a devilish kiss, lusting for blood and getting their kicks in. They were a most interesting monster, a most interesting monster, a most interesting monster, a most interesting monster.
So yeah, I loved working on that song. And another project that I worked on recently was my friend Whit Hertford's beautiful short film called Tragic Figure, which is a really cool film adaptation, short film of the story of Oedipus. And he had given me several references, including Mika Levy's soundtrack for the film Under the Skin, which was a horror movie with Scarlett Johansson. And the music in that is really eerie, but it's also very sensual and kind of sexy in a weird way. But yeah, it's definitely still off-putting too. And so, I kept that in mind, and I was really inspired by these beautiful surreal images that were in Whit's short film, a lot of which is based in the desert. So I really tried to work with those references in mind, to capture both the horror elements and to balance them with the more tender elements, and then also to find the spaces where the silence should exist.
That sounds fascinating. I mean, you have a really interesting portfolio of work in general, and we would love to hear about, your earlier EP, your early inspirations for your personal projects. And I know you've done a lot collaborating with bands too. So tell us a little more about your inspiration over the years, because I'm sure you have eras like any other artist does.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, the first EP that I wrote with my cousin was around 2017, 2018. And at the time, I was living in New York, and I was going back and forth to where I grew up in Sacramento, California, to, spend time with my family. And during the years that we were working on the EP, a lot of things happened to us individually and then kind of collectively in our families. So our grandparents passed away, And my cousin's wife had his first son. And I was also in New York, just like collaborating with a lot of different musicians, kind of like bringing my dream of performing and songwriting and being like a musician for real to life. So the first EP that we released, Camellia, is, I think, a meditation on, personal identity versus familial roots and what it means to be a part of a family, but then also what it means to be an individual, navigating lots of different changes and transitioning basically from being a child into somebody with more autonomy or more agency. We explored a lot of different genres in that EP together, and I think that between my cousin's production and the connecting thread of my voice, they do end up kind of working as a whole, but we definitely covered a broad spectrum of sounds. And like during my time in New York, I collaborated with a lot of different musicians and songwriters. I had a jazz noir, torch song kind of project with my friend Joe McGinty, where it was just primarily piano and voice. He's an incredible pianist, and I grew up listening to people like Nina Simone and Billie Holiday, so I always really loved just having that simplicity of piano and voice to really like showcase my songwriting. And then I also played in a band called Superhuman Happiness, which was more like experimental electronic pop. And that was led by my friend Stuart Bogey, and we wrote a record together called Beacon, which I still really love, and we got a chance to tour and play all kinds of shows in Brooklyn and other parts of the States.
Those were such fun shows to go to as well. I just had wonderful little flashbacks to going to
it was really
seeing you perform. And now you're in LA, so people can still go hear you perform.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I have played some really fun shows this year with the Dia Luna Music. I have a great guitarist named Jonathan Bareford who has really helped me pick up the show situation. And every show that we've played this year has been sold out, which I feel really good about. We played a great hometown show in Sacramento at the Crocker Art Museum. So yeah, I mean, right now my focus is mostly on the record, but I'm really excited to do some more live shows and really get the music out to folks.
You're leaving out my favorite part, though, which is the aesthetic and the styling of everything that you do. And before we met in person, Jez had sent over some of your videos, and I was like, okay, aesthetic queen, like, yes. I was like, do I want to meet and collaborate with this person? Yes, I absolutely do. So yeah, I love music videos, and especially for styling, there's a few videos that have really inspired me in my life that I constantly like pull from and like reference in my work. So you'll see those like over and over again as inspiration. But your music videos are also extremely prolific and so beautiful and stunning. What informs the way that you're styling them? I mean, it sounds like you're really controlling every part of your brand image, not just the sound. So when you're building something out for a music video, and I'm just dying to know on a nerdy level because I love music videos so much, like, how are you concepting this? How are you storyboarding it and putting it all together?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is intuitive. I did go to school for art, and because of that, I felt like I have a lot of references visually for like storytelling and different styles and different like reference points for how to tell a story. But I also have a lot of really gifted collaborators, like my friend Danny Gross, who is an incredible cinematographer and a dear friend of mine. And we've collaborated a lot together on music videos. And even, before I really committed to like, quote unquote, being a musician, I had a friend of mine named Lucas McGowan, who is, again, like an incredible cinematographer, and he shot a lot of cool videos for me as well. But yeah, I think that for me, like typically when I get really excited about a song, I usually feel like a visual pops up for me, and then I will do a mood board and probably a storyboard, and then I will enlist my collaborators to help me really execute that vision. And again, like luckily for me, they're really talented at what they do, so they like help me bring the vision to life.
Can we talk about the fashion though, and the makeup and the jewelry? Yeah. I'm like, hello, I'm like chomping at the bit here.
Oh yeah, like I totally love fashion as another element of the storytelling. And I have to say, I mean, when I got to New York, I really had no style, and it was such a valuable education to be there and to learn how to use fashion as a way to express myself and express storytelling that I wanted to share. I really love vintage shopping, and that was like a big trend when I was in high school, and I definitely learned, and I continue to learn how to pull things from secondhand and vintage stores. And to this day, I think that's like one of my favorite aspects of the production process, is like being able to style the fashion and like pick pieces that reflect what I want the story to be.
Oh, I love that. And I miss going vintage shopping with you. We found some really wonderful things.
We did, and I really miss that. It's funny being in LA. I like it, but I also really miss the old New York vibes that I had.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to schedule a tour, an Immaterial World tour.
Yes, I would love that.
Because, yeah, listeners, I don't know if we made it super clear. It's in the credits, but Dia is also our editor. So you are very involved in the immaterial world.
Yes, I am. And I like it that way.
So, do you believe that songs are spells or can be used in manifestation work? Because when I listen to your songs, I feel like they're spells. And it's not just because they're beautiful and I'm like under your spell, but I know you, and I also know what it feels like looking through your magical lens, and your songs very much feel like an extension of that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really love this question because it did make me reflect on whether or not I think that that's true. And I do in fact think that songs are kind of spells, because I think that at their core, it's kind of like energy work. And I think it's really easy for music to create a mood or to bring out different parts of your personality. Like a really easy example I can think of is, for me, whenever I listen to salsa music or bachata or cumbia, I just like can't be sad. It immediately lifts my mood, and I feel like, oh, I have like a little spark. I have a little pep in my step again. And so, yeah, like in a very literal way, sound affects how we feel. And I'm also very aware of the fact that when I'm playing with sound, it's like a manipulation of energy, in the same way that like practicing rituals or doing spell work is also essentially a manipulation of energy around us, or the energy that we carry internally. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I had sat in an ayahuasca ceremony where there was a portion of the ceremony where people could sing, and I had this very beautiful experience of singing, and actually sing the way that my voice rippled out into space. To me, it looked like, when you drop a heavy rock into a lake and you see all of the ripples of water going out into the distance, except that was what was happening with my voice, and with that energy, those words that sentiment like going out into the air. So I think to me that really showed how we are literally like interacting with sound as waves. I also definitely think that you can use music as a mantra or as a way to ramp up certain kinds of energies in your life that you want to call in. And of course, like there's a ton of examples of this across cultures. Like a lot of Buddhist practices have meditations or mantras that are chants. Or of course, there's always like gospel music or like medieval, Gregorian chants. So I think it's always interesting to me because I feel like music is so impactful emotionally, and it just has a way of connecting people with the divine that is really different than other mediums. Personally, too, like I've also found that when I create a ritual space for myself and I put music on and it's randomized, that inevitably there will be messages that come through the music for me, right? Like the lyrics are actually saying something to me personally.
If that makes sense.
Shuffle-mancy.
I love shuffle-mancy.
Yeah, and there's also like this component that ties into time, right? Because something else that I find really fascinating about songs, and especially recordings, is that they're like a snapshot of physical time. Like you're literally mapping the air when you do a recording. And it's wild to think about that's like what's happening when my voice is going into a microphone. So for that reason, I feel like there's also this time traveling element to music that's really special and really beautiful. And I hope that people appreciate when they're listening to songs, especially songs from different eras.
Wait, this is blowing my mind right now as I'm sitting here thinking about it. Wow, this could be so existential. And I've used music for manifestation, and we're all people of a certain age in this group. So electronic music for me, especially with the high BPMs, and it gets you going and it gets you excited. Last year, and I'm happy to offer this information since it's no longer my manifestation song, but Lola's Theme by the Shapeshifters was my spell. So I would listen to that song. I mean, I had an absurd amount of listens to it last year when I got my like Apple recap or whatever they send to you. Yeah. It was like, you're the Shapeshifters #1 fan.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, no one's listened to this song in 20 years like I have. But I listened to that song over and over and over, and it was like so evocative to me, the music. And even what you're saying now, I'm imagining like pulling whatever energy that I was vibing with in like 2005, whenever that song originally came out, and like coming back into this time. Mm-hmm. And ooh, crazy.
For sure. And that's the other thing too, like songs are anchors. So they're like anchoring you potentially not only to your emotional experience, but also to a time and place. And I think also similarly to fashion, because they're so embedded in our day-to-day life, they can become this vehicle to like transport us into like other kinds of memories. And again, as a medium, I think that music has an immediacy that other art forms don't necessarily have.
Mm-hmm. Are there any musicians that you tend to listen to in that way? Or, I mean, this could be like musicians who have inspired you, but it can also be, are there musicians you turn to for spell work? Like if you're doing a song as a spell or listening with this kind of manifestation in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've listened to several artists like Amaray and Dua Saleh pretty recently to kind of cultivate an attitude of like confidence and sensuality that I feel really comes through in their music. Like both of them have really cool kind of Afrobeat electronic music, and I would say explicitly with Dua Saleh, like her music feels very futuristic to me, and I think that that's really important right now to me, because I feel like so many timelines and possibilities are like collapsing and opening up, that that music is really resonating with me right now. Or like somehow that just feels like very relevant to what we've been experiencing as a culture in the year of our Lord 2025. And I will say, like, for myself, when I'm songwriting, especially for this new record, that I really try to think about the lyrics and the fact that people are going to be repeating them in their mind. And so, like, I always want to make sure that the lyrics are, for the most part, like uplifting lyrics, or that there's a sense of soulfulness in them, even if they're sad or even if the material is more challenging. Because I do know that there is an emotional impact there, and I never want to leave people feeling like they don't have like an escape hatch out of, you know, the difficult emotions that might be there, if that makes sense.
Love that. That's so cool. I just, I'll put a lot of links in the show notes for people who are listening. There'll be music video links. There'll be Dua Saleh. There'll be things for you to look at.
Yay. Yeah. Thank you for that. I think something else that's interesting too that I was thinking about is just that I think that music can like help you tap into the shadow self in a positive way. Like I feel, for example, that I'm drawn to techno and like really hard music with industrial, like crunchy, edgier sounds, because it kind of helps me tap into that part of myself in a healthy way. And yeah, I feel like that could be another good way for people to utilize music in ritual space, or like as another tool for safe self-exploration.
Also, it's fine to say people of a certain age, like that electronic music hits us like no other generation. It will never feel the same.
I mean, literally, I have so many friends whose lives were changed by the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. And I was definitely one of those people. Like, I had never heard electronic music before that point, and I just remember being like, what is this? Like, I love this.
I am freaking out because randomly I thought of that theme song the other day, and I was like, did I make this up? And I searched for it, and I just listened to the Mortal Kombat song, like maybe last week. So interesting. But yeah, remember that was like such a moment. And I always go back to my college boyfriend introduced me to Daft Punk, which was life-changing. I mean, Daft Punk is everything to me. I'm an Aquarius Venus. So robots singing love songs. Yes. Yes, please. That's exactly how I want my ballads to be conveyed to me. There's just something about electronic music it just hits us, you know?
Yeah. And I really love that like each generation has its own soundtrack in a way. Like a few nights ago, I was hanging out with my partner and we were just listening to a bunch of songs from the 60s. And it was so interesting to me to kind of like map their similarity. It felt like a lot of them were very organic in a different kind of way. And there was so much energy in them. And then like right now, I don't think it's an accident that electronic music is so popular, because I feel like it's reflecting a world that's moving so much faster and has so much more to do with machines and like robots and AI and industrialization and movement. But yeah, I just love nerding out about all the different ways that music is a container for humanity, really, and for our experience.
I love that. It is. There's so much that music helps me move through. And I notice when I'm particularly distressed or overwhelmed, sometimes music can be too much for me too. And I need silence so I can return to music. I mean, I think that people should spend a lot of time with your work and just see all of your influences and download you on SoundCloud and Spotify and all the places and just like travel with you, because you're very good at creating those containers with music.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's really special. And I totally agree with you that, you know, silence is really necessary. And it's honestly like the natural counterpart to sound. And I think that being a musician over time, I've learned, you know, when there needs to be space within a song for the sound to breathe and to have those pockets of silence.
So cool.
I wanted to go back to the timelines converging and things happening and sort of, songs or music being evocative of the time that they exist in. And I feel that from like an outsider's perspective, that it feels like we could be entering a time in music where people want to take more risks. I think like for me, the Rosalia album was like this is, it really speaks to me, like as a woman of faith. It speaks to me visually, aesthetically, like all of the risks that she's taking. Like, I would love for you to just get into the Rosalia of it all and like give us your thoughts, because what is she's singing in 13 languages? Like, nobody's doing it like that. Like, this is, so do you think also, besides the work itself, do you think this could be a marker of where people might be willing to take more risks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great sign that it's been as successful as it's been, because I think in some ways it means that people are ready to receive more experimental music, or that they're willing to engage with pop music that's like definitely outside of the norm. And it's such a beautiful record, I think that it's also because she had so much fame and success from her previous work that it's cool that she decided to take this big leap, because in a way it validates for other artists that they can take risks, but then it also validates for other people in the music industry that there is a desire for that as far as like the audience goes, which is really important. It means that like the people, for example, like labels or whatever, like may be more interested in taking risks with their artists as opposed to talking them out of that. I also love that it feels like a very uniquely feminist record in the sense that she's engaging a lot with, like women saints, and that she read a lot of their work, and she's like reading about their lives and engaging with their output. And I think it's pretty amazing because, she's centering these women that I think were often sidelined or not necessarily celebrated as much as their male counterparts. And I do think that it's really interesting that she's using them as this jumping off point to talk about her contemporary experience.
I love the way mysticism is just so woven into the music too. It's like, oh, is this for us? Feels like it was for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially considering how much women have historically been kept out of spiritual spaces, especially in, a patriarchal Christian nationalist framework.
Yeah, and then when she's in the music video clumping around in those like spring 2003 Alexander McQueen rosary shoes, and I like basically fainted dead away.
Yeah.
I'm like, the references, they're too good.
Oh, that's so amazing. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that video yet, but I really love Alexander McQueen. And he also, had such a sense of gravitas and ritual in his garments too.
Yeah, stunning.
There's some artists that are popular right now that could never, let's just say. She could never.
Well, yeah. And the concept of the record is so good. I really appreciate that she is exploring these ideas of, what it means to be a person who has this dual nature of like, wanting to connect with the divine and then also really wanting to enjoy the earthly experience. And then, like there's this mysticism aspect of the record, but then also it seems like a lot of the songs were written after like her engagement didn't go through, or I don't remember if that was that, or maybe she got a divorce.
She decided not to go through with her engagement.
So yeah, I think there's still like a very personal aspect that comes through in the record, even though she's not addressing it directly. But I think on certain songs like La Perla, that comes through more.
It's so interesting, like for me too, it's the decentering of a romantic relationship. Like, people probably wanted her to come out with an album, talk about the, dissolving of this huge international relationship that people had eyes on. And she's like, you know what? I think I'll actually decenter that relationship and sing in 13 languages and like reconnect with my faith and all of these powerful women that have incredible stories. And to me, I have a friend that sometimes we'll just text back and forth and we'll be like, signs of the matriarchy ? And like, it will be like, like a video about that album, you know what I mean? Or like the Wicked press tour or like, other things that are happening. But I liked that we're like, people are so desperate to talk about that relationship being a reference here, but it's the least interesting reference that could be happening in this record for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also just a huge feat, she's singing in like so many different languages and you don't even clock that that they're changing because it's just so smooth overall. And that was definitely one of the things that impressed me about the record is how seamlessly all of the arrangements flowed into each other, even though some of the songs were really, really different from one another, but it still felt like they belonged to this cohesive whole. Something else that I wanted to kind of note too, just going back to this idea of like calling in energy or calling in assistance or guidance, is that I feel like she used these female saints as kind of a touch point. And it reminds me of Judy Chicago's artwork, The Dinner Party, which, where she kind of set the table for all of these famous women and goddesses. And there was just something about like tethering yourself to other sources of energy or greatness. And I feel like that was in part what Rosalia was doing on this record by referencing these women saints.
I love that. Yeah, I was teaching a poetry class last night and on Romani literature. I was so excited. It's not featured very much. I'm super nerdy about it. And I realized that I had interviewed two of the people only as I was teaching. And I was just like, wow, I really am trying on to be closer to what I see as like my heroes. And I felt just so excited that I even could teach about them or include them in the work I was doing. And something about the proximity to them made me feel magical. Like it wasn't about a networking thing. It wasn't like, oh, and I know this poet. But it was just like my work lifting up poetry is connected to these people who I think are so powerful and magical, and that in itself makes it magic.
Yeah, totally. And I'm so glad that you said that, because lineage in music and in art making is something that I really wanted to talk about, because I see Rosalia as being part of a lineage of people who were inspired by Kate Bush. And personally, a lot of my heroes like Bjork were inspired by the music that Kate Bush created. And so I think it's really cool to just like trace, okay, so it was like Kate Bush, then it was Bjork, then it was St. Vincent, then it was Rosalia. And, I consider myself to be a part of that lineage too, because her work just so profoundly impacted what I thought was possible in music, and just stylistically, I think represented a sound that I found really, really intriguing. Beyond that, I think I'm just really fascinated by the idea that as a creator, you too can birth a lineage of people that will be inspired by your style or your specific voice or your willingness to kind of push the envelope. Also, I think that, Jez, like what you're talking about too, is that like somehow when we start creating more, like we start vibrating and we get closer and closer to like our source references, right? Like our heroes and the people that we look up to. And that's often like a really positive sign that we're doing something meaningful.
Yeah, and these poets absolutely have influenced my work. And there's also like the second or the secret third thing where it's like, and there's magic.
We call that a bonus Jonas.
Yeah.
A bonus Jonas.
All right, that's the name of my new song.
Love that. Love that. Can we talk a little bit more about your own personal mysticism and your work with the tarot?
My gosh, of course. Yeah, I'm really just so grateful for tarot. I feel like a lot of my own personal mysticism is rooted in ancestral work and in like ancestor veneration. I'm Mexican American, so I definitely feel very aligned with and inspired by our cultural mysticism. You know, I do certain practices every year, like creating an altar for Dia de los Muertos, for example, and like really leaning on a lot of practices that incorporate touchstones from our culture. So, for example, like my grandmother on my dad's side was incredible with plants, and she would always make me peppermint tea when I felt sick. She grew peppermint in her garden, and you know, a lot of the times, like, I think spell work and the craft, quote unquote, is as simple as that, is just like using family memory to like create a positive experience for yourself, handing down certain kinds of traditions. I was raised Catholic, like many other Mexican Americans, and I also feel like the ritual and the colors and all of the artistic expression that was present in the church really informed me and my creative practice and my songwriting. But yeah, in terms of tarot, I felt really drawn to tarot at a young age, and I think when I was around 15, my mom got me a tarot deck from our local occult store in Old Sacramento, which was incredible. And then when I was 21, my mom shared with me that my great-grandmother had also been a card reader, and that she used to be a healer in Chicago, and people would come over to their house, and that my great-grandmother would work with them. So I know that there's like a history and a lineage of divination in my family, and I definitely feel like the presence of my benevolent ancestors when I am working, when I'm trying to work through things, or just like generally, yeah. But yeah, I really love tarot. It totally transformed the way that I see the world, and I think that it's an incredible resource both for, you know, my spiritual practice, but then also for my creative practice, because it really just is so archetypal and so beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful. And people can book readings with you too, right?
Yeah, they certainly can. I really, really enjoy reading for people, and I try to keep it up as much as possible. And yeah, Jazz, you've been so influential on my journey for reading with tarot. I really, really can't thank you enough for like bearing with me while I gave you readings where I definitely was not sure what I was talking about.
You were always talented. It was a pleasure to read with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did read professionally in LA for a while, and that was really awesome. I felt like I learned a lot by reading for, like a higher volume of people than I had previously. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it can be so nice too, like for people who are listening, if it can be nice sometimes to seek out readers who are in the world that you want to be in as well, just because you have so much experience in it. And so if you're also a creative person, a musician, a singer, and you want to get a reading from Dia, especially if you're thinking about how you want to grow as an artist, highly recommend. And I mean, I talk to you about things that are not those things, and I always gain tremendous insight from you. We read about all kinds of things together, but I have a lot of writers come to me, it's like fun. I really like doing that.
It's really funny that you say that, because now I'm realizing that a lot of the walk-ins that I had were in fact creative people, specifically musicians. And a lot of them did ask me questions about like whether or not to move forward with a project or like a collaborator, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you just magnetize people too. I magnetize writers and artists and performers too. It's like,
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
That energetic ripple. We're just, putting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And so as a musician who also works with tarot, are there any song associations that you think of for certain cards?
I love this game. I'm so excited.
Just made up this game and it's a good game.
Ooh, that's tough. I think right away, for me, it's easy to see musicians themselves embodying certain tarot archetypes. Like, for example, I think Kali Uchis always feels like the Empress to me, or I think Prince, for example, had like a very strong magician energy to him. But for a song, I think I'd have to think about that one.
I'm giving one of my favorite ones. 6 of Wands is Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison.
Oh my God, I love that you fucking... First of all, that's incredible. That's incredible work, strong showing.
Tell me that song is not playing when he's riding on the horse.
I love this.
Return of the Mac is one of my favorite songs of all time. So much so that the last time I visited my besties in Providence, they like literally queued it up for me for my arrival so that it would play when I walked in.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so cute.
It's such a joyous, victorious song.
Yeah, damn, that's a good one.
When I played this song with Jess last, you gave me a few tarot cards as suggestions, which I think can be a nice prompt. Do you have a 3 of Swords song that you listen to where you're just like, oh, I got to get deeper into the pain. I got to look in here.
Oh, man. I think actually the song that comes to mind is like feeling very, very emotional for me in the same way that like a 3 of Swords might be like very tender, is this song called Boliviana by Ibrahim Ferrer, who was in the Buena Vista Social Club. And it's just such a beautiful song. He's like talking about this woman that he loves and he wants to marry her and take her back to Cuba so he can show her the beautiful beaches. And it's just so earnest. Like literally every time that I hear it, I really, it just touches such a tender part of my heart. I feel like, I'm literally getting choked up talking about it because you just feel so much, or I feel so much beauty in the song and so much joy, but then it's also like, it feels scary in the way that like, it's so true and so touching and so earnest that it can also be painful, if that makes any sense. Like to love someone so much that it just opens you up.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, that's a perfect 3 of Swords. Because I think the 3 of Swords is also like there's healing and there's beauty and there's community. Yeah. But it's also like, oh, the agonies.
Yes, exactly. Like it just totally gets right in there for me.
It's my card, baby. I love it.
Yeah.
The agony and the ecstasy.
So Catholic coded.
I know, literally.
Yeah, I've already decided that if I ever get married, I really want that song to play because it just is, it's so beautiful.
Jez, you have to say a song now. You have to say a card and song combo.
Yeah. Queen of Swords is Medusa by Uzi Freya and Carbon Killer. Because it's just like, it's a bad bitch anthem. But it's also just like, I will cut off your head. I am Medusa, and I'm going to rip you apart. My favorite song right now. I keep listening to it, and it's very Queen of Swords.
Wait, what did Alexa send you the other day? What was your ghost song that came through?
Alexa sent me, so every once in a while, Alexa will, of her own volition, play a song. No one's talked to her, no one's asked, and that's my shufflemancy too, where it's like Spirit is working through, and Spirit sent me Poppin' by Rico Nasty, which also felt very angelic and right.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I've held on to a lot of songs from like newer female rappers like Doechii or like Megan Thee Stallion, because I feel like they really showcase like this fun, like bold, confident Queen of Wands energy that's very authentic, and that's a space that I've really been wanting to occupy as well.
I love Queen of Wands energy. That's where I like to be.
It's that fire. We love that.
Yeah, for sure.
What dream projects are you calling in for 2026? And this is also a good place to tell us a little more about your upcoming big album too.
Yeah, well, I would say, from a songwriter standpoint, I would really love to work on more bespoke music for clients, especially for film. And as far as the new record goes, I think that both my cousin and I are thinking about these songs as an opportunity to call in a lot of our respective community, have a lot of different players, lend their talents to the record and make it really big and make it about, how far we've come in a lot of ways. As far as kind of calling in the big dream is concerned, I would really love just to be able to support having all of those collaborators join us, to flesh out the record and really to flesh out the music videos that I want to showcase the storytelling around the songs. Beyond that, I know that I really haven't had a chance to tour the Dia Luna experience globally, but I really want to. And I want to do it in a way that is also more experimental, to present the music that's maybe more like a traveling art show and less like a traditional pop tour.
Yes, I would love to see that. I mean, people really need to watch your music videos because they are so artistic and beautiful. And I could really see you doing a lot around performance in going deeper into the performative aspect of that.
Yeah, I'd love to experiment more with different mediums, like holographs or augmented reality or incorporating dance or performance art. But I think just overall thinking of it more as an opportunity to craft like a specific art show that's maybe even dependent on the spaces that we're going into, like maybe having components of the show that change and are site specific. But I think just overall, presenting the music publicly in a way that is multimedia and advanced and exciting for people to both witness and be a part of.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that. And I think that, like Jess said, your videos are just so evocative and beautiful. And I even when we were talking to Caitlin Foisey in a different episode, it's this idea of creating an environment and asking people to come in and really be part of your world. And I think that that's so special and needed if you're a fan or if you're a listener. It's you want to be in community with those who feel that way, but also be in that magical, mystical world. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What other tools and practices besides tarot might you use for your own personal wellness or spirituality?
Ooh, I think that that would have to be dance. Dance is a huge part of my life and definitely one of my main spiritual practices. It's my container and my space to process a lot emotionally. And it's also pretty interesting. There was a study that came out fairly recently that compared different forms of exercise, and the results showed that out of all the exercises that you could possibly do, that dance is the only form that has the same impact as taking an SSRI. So, just from a mental wellness standpoint, it's really, really had a positive effect on my mental health.
Wow, I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
that checks out for me.
Yeah, and also, again, dance has such an inherent relationship to music and vice versa. So I feel like I've become a better musician because I dance, and I'm a better dancer because I play music. I think also because I'm such a mentally oriented person, and also because I have so many air placements in my astrological chart.
Triple Gemini, which I love.
Oh my God, yes, thank you. I'm a triple Gemini, I have a Gemini stellium, but, also just broadly, like I'm an overthinker. I can definitely get into a depression and fixate on my anxiety very easily. So for me, getting into my body and also being a part of a community of people who are just happy and goofy and being able to express myself non-verbally and through my body is extremely, extremely important.
Queen of Swords, baby.
Yeah, I mean, dance keeps me grounded. And, in the past few years of dancing, I've realized that I really do process deeply buried emotions or memories that have just been stored in my body. And that the only reason that I'm able to do that is because I'm literally moving through it. So I think it's a very, very practical spiritual medicine, and it's made a huge impact on my life. The other practice that I lean on really heavily is a Buddhist practice that I was taught by a witchy teacher of mine named Carolyn Elliott. It's a loving kindness meditation where I'm going to just go through the whole thing here because I think it's worth it, and hopefully it will inspire people to try it. But basically, you would imagine yourself in your mind's eye and wish yourself happiness. Like I would say, Andrea, may you be happy. And I see myself and try to really feel myself being happy. I would say to myself, may you be free from shame and suffering. And I would, again, visualize situations where I would normally feel shame or where I would normally suffer, and imagine myself having a different reaction to those things. May your good fortune increase. That one's pretty self-explanatory. I would see myself getting a song on the radio or something like that. And then may you be free from attachment and aversion. And same thing, I would imagine a situation or situations where I might feel attachment or aversion, and I would imagine myself reacting in the opposite way. And so once you go through this process, imagining yourself in all of these scenarios, then you repeat that first with someone who you would consider to be a friend, then with somebody that you don't know, like, your barista or someone in your neighborhood. And then lastly, with someone that you dislike or that you find irritating or that, annoys you in some way. And this practice is really incredible because it's not really like a fully conscious thing. I think it really helps to kind of align your subconscious with your conscious well wishes. But I just have seen in my own practice what doing that meditation every day for a month does. And it just totally shifts my perspective to be one that can tolerate and can hold so much more duality. And it's really also incredible to see the way that people react to me differently when I'm doing this. Even though they're not necessarily even aware that I am doing that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, those kind of meditations open you to a sense of neutrality that I think we're lacking, especially in these times when we're being forced into extreme reactions. We have to keep opening up to that. When you were talking about the barista, I do these sorts of meditations and I think about these people and, neither good nor bad that you have your relations with, and it's like feeling into that equilibrium kind of feeling, because we need that. The universe needs those energetic rays right now.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, again, because I do believe that we're in a space where there are a lot of potential timelines available to us, that as like individuals and also as a collective, we really need to be focusing on the best possible outcome that we can create for ourselves.
Yes.
And also for our communities, right? Because if we don't get it together, we're the only ones who are going to suffer. We have to really come into alignment as a species, because otherwise we're just not going to be here. We're not going to make it.
And, fundamentally with magic too, I like to think that if you truly believe in magic, if you truly believe in manifestation, then there are no limits on what could potentially exist. And so you should always wish for abundance for all people. Wanting to hoard it all for yourself suggests that there is a limitation and therefore is not magical. So I do agree. Let this podcast go out in the world and let us all have like the most positive timelines that we're reaching for at all times for all people.
Yes, please.
Such a beautiful meditation. Really love it.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
How can people support your work? Where's the best place to find you, download your music, follow you, and any other way you could use support?
Totally. Well, people can find my music online. I have a website, which is www.dialunamusic.com. I'm on Instagram at dialunamusic. My preference is for people to download my music from Bandcamp or to stream it on Qobuz. But again, it is available on most channels digitally. As far as songwriting goes, I, again, like totally relish the opportunity to write bespoke songs for you. So if you are another creative, if you're a filmmaker, if you're an editor, if you are making up another podcast, if there are things that you want to do where music would be helpful, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm also available for tarot readings. Like, I love reading tarot, and if you want some guidance on how to move forward in your creative practice, or if you have any other questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me about tarot. But yeah, I mean, I do all kinds of different things, so sometimes I feel a bit like, woo, all over the place. But I am a Gemini after all, so there's that.
You're a multi-hyphenate.
You're in good company here, my friend.
Yay, I love that.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for editing our podcast and writing the most perfect song. We so appreciate you. We're so happy that you're here.
Yay! Thank you so much. I am really so happy that you all asked me to be a part of this amazing project, and I really believe in the work that you're doing here, and I hope that this podcast also gets shared broadly and widely, and that it changes people's lives for the better.
Yes, put some magic on that. There are no limitations to abundance.
That's right, baby.
Love this.
Now that you said it, I've been forgetting to mention we do have a link in our show notes for sponsoring the podcast. So if anyone is listening and they want to help us make this, because we're doing it all out of our own pockets because we love what we do. You can click that link, or you can just reach out if you prefer not to use that link for some reason and you want to Venmo. I've got a Venmo link in my bio on Instagram. You can get money to us anyway, and it'll go to a good cause.
And I do definitely want to end this podcast by saying I can't recommend having a theme song enough. Mm-hmm. I love that we have the theme song, and I hope that as I'm saying this, that ending music, those ending credits are starting to come in. I can imagine it in my mind's eye. So thank you, Dia. We love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
I like to see you shining. like a sunset, you're really like a pearl. You're a special kind of magic, dancing in a crazy swirl, in a crazy swirl. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. As far as the galaxy goes, we're flying in the immaterial world. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. Your mind, your body and soul, delighted in the immaterial world. The immaterial world. The immaterial world.
Immaterial World is hosted by Jessica Richards and Jasmina Bontilla. Music by Dia Luna. Artwork by Lane Friend. Follow us at Immaterial World Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Visit our website at www.immaterial-world.com or send us an email at immaterialworldpod@gmail.com. Thank you for being part of our immaterial world.
Welcome to the immaterial world.